You ever get those phone calls late in the afternoon that you're just like, oh, I'm not saying no, just I know I'm not going to get a lot of sleep in the next couple days. You ever get that?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I don't.
Come on. Seriously? Okay, well.
My friends aren't as needy as yours.
Fair point. Fair point. This case, it wasn't.
You think?
Yet.
Does family count?
Yeah.
The nice thing about being in the 40s, right? Like, you don't seem to get those phone calls like, hey, I need a ride at 1:15 in the morning, do you?
No, not so much.
No, this one's a little different. This is work related, so it's a good thing. It's one of those things that's like, hey, anything to help keep the bills paid. We lease out some tractors to some construction companies. We had 3 already out, and this is actually gonna be the 4th.
Oh, wow.
Usually we don't have this many because it's been so consistently dry. Another company wanted to throw in a water tank. Luckily they had a tank, but they were just looking for a tractor. I got that phone call at like 4:30 on Wednesday afternoon, and I just thought to myself, oh man, we got to do some wrenching.
Because you didn't have a tractor that was just ready to go right away?
Not 100%.
Yeah.
We got a tractor in the yard that has been rock solid. It's been really, really good over the years. There's nothing mechanically wrong with it, but we do have an electrical gremlin that we are fighting. Before it goes out on lease, I got to try and figure out how to get this electrical gremlin found, fixed, and repaired so the oil pressure light isn't going off. Because this tractor has only been on our projects the last couple of years and hasn't been out on lease, I haven't worried about it. We just put a mechanical oil pressure gauge in it and then told people don't worry about the lights on in the dash. Now, that worked for us on the farm and out spreading. That's not necessarily what you want when it's going out on lease on a construction job site. So I know what will happen. My phone will ring nonstop. Hey, you got a light on the dash. You got a light on the dash. You got to come fix this. I'm headed to John Deere right now. This has been a multi-day rabbit hole over the course of the last couple of years trying to figure it out. And then earlier in the year when we were working on an oil pressure sensor for another tractor, we found some verbiage in the Deere parts breakdown that's leading us down this rabbit hole that maybe we can do it a little different. So I'm gonna go to Deere right now, see if we can't figure it out and see if we can't get this electrical gremlin found and fixed so we don't have lights on the dash. One of the tough things that these tractors face, yes, they're 40 plus years old. This one, I believe,
Wow, yeah.
is like 83 or 84 model year break. So we're right there, like 41, 42. The other thing is they see all kinds of different conditions. We actually do end up sometimes having to drive down the road. So you do see Minnesota road salt. You know, I mean, they're always in a harsh environment. You just never quite know what the electrical is going to look like. And I can't tell you how many hours in life I have listening to the radio, standing in the shop, just doing this and just running, name it, from soldering wires to repinning wires. It's unbelievable how many times you just end up like cleaning up wiring harnesses just because they're old.
Okay.
They've started to break down. And sometimes it's not the whole harness. Sometimes on a wiring harness, you know, you might have wires that are 10 feet long, but it's only like that much, or it's only a couple inches that you actually have to go in, either solder or crimp it back and clean it up. But it is one of those things that always pays dividends, just going back and cleaning it up, because oh, I can't tell you how many like little electric gremlins over the years we've had to track down just so our phones don't ring so much. We got the tractor in here and we've been doing the basics. We've been changing fuel filters, oil filters, checking lights, also changed transmission and hydraulic oil filters. Sometimes I like doing that just to get, so we got like kind of a baseline on it. Now, this one is kind of funny. This tractor hasn't gone out and leased in a few years. Hopefully that's just loose. I can tell you the exact year the last time it went out, and there's a long story behind it, but it would have been 2019. Surprise, when we pulled the hydraulic filter and the transmission filter, there's actually date codes on them, and they were from 2019. So it's actually a good thing. Like, oh, probably should have changed those sooner, but the trade-off was they looked really clean. So, hey, that's all that matters. Over here in this corner by the cab, I've been working on the electrical, and what we've been having going on, the problem we've been having is the oil pressure sending unit. We had some form of electrical short going to it because the oil pressure gauge would actually click off or fail, and then it'd bring a light on the dash and a buzzer and all that stuff. And it's been hit and miss for the last 2 or 3 seasons. And it was one of those things that we just told the guys like, hey, it's gonna do it, don't worry about it, it's fine. So it wasn't a big deal. Like a lot of things in life, you kind of figure a way around it. Well, when I woke up this morning, that was my goal. I'm like, I gotta figure out how to get that light off. Well, step number 1 when doing this stuff is start looking at the electrical. When I did that, I was actually able to take some of the wire loom off and some of the electrical tape, and then right by the weather pack connector, I could actually see where I thought 2 wires were touching, which hopefully that is what it was, which could definitely send the sensor off.
So at this point, what were your options, Eric, of what could be wrong?
I didn't really know. The only thing we weren't ever able to really touch is the factory wiring harness going from the resistor up into the gauge. Over the years, we've changed out all of the different components, and it'd be different time sequences that would turn the light on. Didn't know anymore, other than you can't really replace that main harness that easily. We've been chasing this on and off for like 4 or 5 years. Throughout those years, we've swapped out known good oil pressure sensors. There's a little wire harness with a resistor in it. We've replaced that. We've actually replaced the dash modules out of like known good tractors. We actually have more time in this than we ever wanted to admit trying to diagnose this.
Got it.
The last handful of years, every time we go after it, you eventually just get to this point where it's like, is it really worth the time? We know that mechanically it's running good. Let's just throw it in the field and go. I'm gonna finish buttoning up some wiring here, and then we're gonna lift the door, back the tractor out. I wanna run it and check for leaks, and then I also wanna see if the oil pressure light is going off or not. Hopefully it's not, but anything's possible, you know? Time for a test drive. So far everything's gone really good. The oil pressure gauge has not gone off, but I'm gonna take it for a test drive and we'll see how it actually goes. Took it out for a drive, and actually, I thought I almost had it. We make it about 7 miles down the road, and all of a sudden, I got pulled over because I wanted to rev it up, idle it down, etc. I wanted to make the actual gauge move. Thought, yes, finally we got it.
Yeah.
Go to turn, because I figured, hey, let's make a good loop here. Go to turn, and all of a sudden, I look down, and I got lights flashing at me again, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! We just went through this.
Yeah.
This is like the ultimate worst false hope ever, you know? All right, so I got him back into the yard, and it was so funny because Adam just got back. He was running some loads for me, and we were talking a little bit about it, and so I was explaining what I did, and he's like, well, now what are you gonna do? And I'm like, well, he's like, because he asked a simple question, well, have you replaced the sensor? I'm like, well, I do have a new sensor here, but the sensor that's in the tractor was actually in this other tractor over here, and when it failed in the past, it did the same thing.
Okay.
And I'm like, but process elimination, let's start with the resistor block, because that's just a couple plugins. Run to another tractor, unplug it off another tractor that we known was good, and plugged it in. As soon as I fire it up, lights are still on, and you're like, come on. Now the whole time, this is like 10 o'clock at night, and the whole goal, we knew the low boy was showing up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, but the guy who drives it grew up on a dairy farm, and it's not uncommon for him to get a very early start, you know? So we knew it was going to be
never late.
Okay, so the only good news, like we were saying, whatever happened, it like puked this time. Like, it is not working at all. And she does have a little black smoke, doesn't she?
A little bit.
It is an angry little motor.
Yeah.
Like, driving it down the road, I'm like, they never sound like this, when they got 10,000 hours on them. When they're fresh, it's just like, ooh, wow, angry guy.
Maybe an hour earlier just because it was convenient.
Incredibly talented human being, but that's what I just knew. I'm like, okay, so like we knew the clock was ticking.
Okay.
All right, now again, we've replaced all this stuff in the past, so now in my head, I'm just like, what else? So we replaced the resistor block, boom, it does the same thing. Shut the tractor back off. In the last ditch effort, it's like, hey, let's replace the sensor, even though this is like a known good one out of another tractor. Sure enough, fire the tractor off, all the lights are off. Now, what I don't get is we had done this in the past.
Yeah.
Why now? Why is this? Because we'd put new sensors in it, we had put new parts, we'd swapped them off other tractors and known good ones. Well, here we go again. Test ride number 2. I feel good about this one, but man, thought we had it the last time, but nope. Hopefully this one goes better. The only thing I can think of is that if we didn't just have like 3 or 4 little problems going on, and then just start by cleaning up the wiring, maybe the wiring gave it a good enough voltage read or something that driving it down the road, the sensor that was starting to fail finally had enough energy to die all the way. I don't know.
Even now you're seeing all the lights off and you're like, okay, good. Is it still in the back of your mind like, oh, well, I'm going to turn the corner and they're all going to pop on?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes.
It'll be there for a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I take the tractor out, do the same loop. It's about a mile, so 4-ish mile drive. The whole time I'm looking down going, no, don't you dare, don't you dare.
Yeah.
But then we had a new problem because I'm driving down the road and I'm like, I knew the air conditioning was cool, and I thought, okay, we just need to add a little. Well, I added a little bit of Freon, which isn't uncommon, add like a quarter pound, something like that.
Okay.
But I'm now driving it, well, this is the longest distance I've driven it all night. I'm driving it down the road and I'm like, this should be colder. It's like 70 degrees outside at midnight, you know, and this should be colder. And I thought to myself, like, what? Like what? Like, all the gauges were inspected. Well, I bring it back in here, and it's funny because we had the exact same problem on a tractor last year.
Okay.
I walk behind the tractor and grab the heater lines, and they're hot.
Okay,
which means that the heater shutoff switch up here in the dash is not working. Now, to fix that properly, you need a shutoff switch that I do not have. Yeah, John Deere.
Yep.
And it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So I took a vice.
So how'd you jerry rig it?
Yeah, I took a vice grips, crimped off the one line, wrapped it with electrical tape, zip tied it to one of the cab mounts. And I'm sitting in the tractor at 1:30 in the morning with the temp gun, and I'm slowly watching it go from 66, 64, got down to about 56, and I'm like, yes,
that'll work.
Good enough. Good enough for today.
Because even if you don't have the water completely shut off, you've got it restricted enough that air conditioner will override it.
Okay, so keep up.
Because I fired up that tractor earlier and unhooked it out of an implement, and that was the first thing that went through my head. Okay, we gotta make sure the air works. Turn the air on, and boom, the minute you started the tractor, that thing was rock solid. It was cold.
Okay.
And that's
but it didn't warm up yet. That's where, you know, when Eric drove it around, it warmed up.
Oh, okay, got
created a false hope, you know.
That was
sometimes foolproof just fooled you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, that's exactly what happened last year. I was taking it out to driving it through a job site, and I got about 4 miles out of the 4 miles out of the yard here, and all of a sudden I could just feel it get warmer and warmer and warmer, and it's like, yeah.
Those valves, it's not uncommon for them to go to crud. They just, you know, 30-year-old tractor, and it's time. We've replaced several of them.
Well, and it's just one of those things. The thing that's more, like, the thing that always amazes me is it's like, it is always something, but usually at this point in life, we're decently lucky at figuring it out.
Yeah.
I kind of laugh when guys are like, oh, I've never been stumped before, and I'm like, oh, try harder, you know, like,
come on over.
Yeah,
you do have a lot
try
of case
harder.
Got
about
eight
things you can start on.
Yeah. All right, it is 1:30 in the morning. I'm tired, but I think we finally got it. We had a little issue. Couldn't figure out why the air conditioning wasn't cooling down in the cab like it should. And I remember last year we had the same problem. The heater valve was on. You walk behind the tractor and grab both of the 2 heater core lines, and you feel them being hot. That means it's bypassing the actual valve in the cab, and that's exactly what's happening. So I spent the last hour fighting that, but we finally got it. I think we're good to go. And even though today was an absolute butt kicker, I'm happy that hopefully we fixed a multi-year problem, and that was that stupid oil sensor light being on. But I am headed to bed. Oh, it's been a long day. Originally, when we started the spring, what do you think, Dad? Everybody had just said 2 this year, and that was going to be it. And then
typical, yeah. And then, okay, the tractor that would be going is in the shop waiting for machine shop. So anytime that you're working on your own equipment and you send stuff out, doesn't matter where you send it, whether it's a machine shop that does engine work, whether it's a machine shop that does just rebuilding, augers on the spreader is another example. You got to plan ahead, and you've got to be patient because they're busy. There used to be more people that did that stuff.
Yeah.
Now there isn't.
Yeah, true.
Kind of one of those things like, don't make an enemy.
And appreciate the work they do.
Yeah.
The machine shops have saved us thousands of dollars in a typical year.
Yeah.
We didn't have a tractor that was ready to get thrown on the lowboy, but they were kind of close.
Yeah, right. Because you want to bring them a good, reliable one, too.
Yeah.
Right?
So the funniest thing in the world about this style of electrical gremlin, we had it on another tractor earlier this year when we were putting on the dyno. One of these oil sensors just absolutely failed on us.
Okay.
Now, originally the goal was to fix it, but instead we got busy planting, and then we just robbed one off another tractor. The poor 4650 that's in the shop right now, I got a list, but there's a lot of parts that got robbed off of it. So we grabbed that one.
It's a proud donor.
But so our friend Rich, that actually was the guy that helped us bonsai through putting a concave in and removing the feeder house on a combine. He was out this spring. Rich has a very detail-oriented mind, and he was a John Deere tech. And so he was looking at it on the workbench, and he's like, well, what's this out of? And I'm explaining it, and he's like, well, why is there 3 wires? You should have a ground and power in. What's the other one? And I'm like, it must be a resistor. Well, sure enough, he's like, yeah, no meter? And I'm like, yeah. And so here's Rich just opening it out, and we're trying to figure out what that third wire was. Well, when we put 12 volts on the one side, it did break it down to about 6 volts coming out of it. What that means is you got 12 coming in, the resistor is breaking it down, it's sending a signal of about 6 volts back to the gauge. Huh. Hopefully none of you actually ever have to know that, but it is nice to know if you do.
Yeah.
So why do you need this little box with pixies in it from Deere for 200 bucks? We figured it out, and I don't remember exactly. I thought like 4 amps was all the way like no oil pressure, okay. And then like 8 was like full oil pressure. Okay. That voltage differential is actually reading with the swing of the gauge. Huh. The more the amps, the more amps, the higher it went, the lower it read. So kind of interesting, yeah. But yeah, maybe you don't necessarily need to know that, but hopefully it makes it entertaining. I'm a nerd.
Wait to tell all my friends.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Next cocktail party, you got this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna wow them all.
Absolutely. Why they talk about how they drive to work, and oh yeah. I got a phone call that I knew was gonna add to my workload at 4:30 in the morning. Low boy guy got a text message at 1:30 in the morning, like, "Hey man, it's in front of the fuel barrels." Full circle.
And at 5 o'clock this morning, while I was just finishing up making coffee, I was watching him unhook his low boy and loading her up.
Yep.
It was on the road.
Awesome. That's good. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's next on the punch list then, Eric?
That bathroom and living room floor we don't want to talk about. Yeah.
Wow, look what time
Look
it
at
is.
that crap, right? One day we'll get to it.
Thanks, guys.